Yusuke versus Hiei, during Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, we saw Hiei versus Yusuke in season 1. That ended up being a win for Yusuke. But had, Kurama not shown up, Yusuke might have lost that fight, honestly. Then they fought again later in season 3, before going to fight against Sensui, because Hiei wanted to see if Yusuke's resolve was actually like that. And it was. Yusuke basically won that fight because he won Hiei over, and then they went to go fight against Sensui. But this scenario isn't that. It's if they fought during the Dark Tournament, you know, had things been different. If Hiei decided to turn traitor or something like that, right? And that's scenario 1. And then scenario 2 is like them at the end of the series in the Demon World tournament. How that would go down, right? So scenario 1, the Dark Tournament, right? The strength goes to Urameshi Yusuke. See, that's the thing about both of these characters, right? They both went undefeated in their, fights, right? They didn't lose any of their bouts they were in. Yusuke didn't lose any of his fights, and Hiei didn't lose any of his fights. Only Kuwabara and Kurama lost there. If they ever lost the fight, it was because of those two. And then they never lost. So this is a closer battle than the next scenario. But speed goes to Hiei for sure. Hiei's a fast little shit. We know that about him. Durability goes to Yusuke. He can take some hits. Now, Hiei can too, but the damage is more noticeable with him. The durability is really similar, but I think Yusuke is just more durable than he is. Endurance, I give it to Yusuke. Hiei is all right. His endurance is all right, right? It's pretty good, but then he has a lot of power that he uses, to power up his attacks. A lot of energy is expended. So then he becomes more tired quicker because he has to do that. And then Yusuke also went through the Spirit Orb training, which actually, helped him out with his endurance and helping him endure pain and other things, right? Intelligence goes to Hiei. Hiei is slightly smarter than Yusuke. You could give it to Yusuke if you wanted to, but I think Hiei is smarter. And then he's also more experienced too. He is known to kill people from day one, since he was a little demon running around killing people. And he went undefeated in the Dark Tournament. So did Yusuke, but the thing about Hiei was he fought in every single round. Yusuke took a break to train with Genkai, remember? He was there for every single round against Rikuyu Kai, Ichigaki, the Shinobi of Spirit World. They actually boxed him in for that. He was ready to fight though. He actually was. But then he was there for, Yuri Otogi, and he was also there for the finals too against Bui. Close skills definitely go to Yusuke though. He's a hands fighter. He likes to run up on people and give them the fucking hands. Now Hiei can do that too, but he's mostly the ranged skills fighter, and he is. He has the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, Fist of the Mortal Flame. He pulls out a sword and he uses it too. Throws it sometimes, Yusuke has his range skills too, but they still needed refined, even during the Dark Tournament. That Dragon of the Darkness Flames a fucking issue. Recoup no goes to Yusuke as he died before and came back. And he's just good at recovering because he's the main character. And for that same reason, he has better hacks. During this fight, he could, charge up a spirit gun strong enough to kill Hiei. And that's a fact. Because he defeated Tagoro and killed him, and Goro was actually more powerful than Hiei during that time. So hacks go to Hiei. But the environment, I'm giving it to Hiei. As I do believe he operated better in that environment. Yusuke was a bit unfamiliar with that type of thing. With demons around, being like whatever. I mean, he didn't care. He was going to kill demons anyways, but Hiei was like just more comfortable in that environment. But either way, Yusuke wins. High to extreme diff on the first one. But in the second scenario, in Demon World, the Demon World tournament, at the end of the series, when their powers are maxed out, Yusuke has the strength. We know that he fought against Sensui, and then he also fought against, and that was before that arc, right? He fought against Yomi in the tournament, Hiei fought against Bakuro, but guess what? They both lost their fights, but whose fight went on longer? You know, that's why Yusuke has better endurance as well than Hiei. Speed goes to Hiei still. I still think Hiei is slightly faster than Yusuke, even down the end of the series. Yusuke is a lot faster too, but Hiei is still that fast guy. Durability, Yusuke. Yusuke could take a lot of hits. He was taking hits from, he just passed out during the fight with Yomi and let him, wail on him. Just let him take, keep hitting me because I don't even know why I'm here. Then he snapped out of it. He could even do that shit to Hiei. Hiei is not hitting as hard as Yomi. Close, but not as hard. And Yusuke could do that shit to his friend and shit and let him hit him for a little bit before he hits back. Intelligence goes to Hiei. Hiei's intelligence isn't that bad. You could give it to Yusuke too, but I'm giving it to Hiei. And experience still goes to Hiei, as he was fighting real battles, life and death battles before Yusuke was. Yusuke was a fighter, right? But he wasn't fighting life and death battles until he became the spirit detective. Close skills go to Yusuke. We know him as the hands fighter. We all know that. People in the anime community know this boy to fuck around on some hand fighting. Boxing. He's a boxer. Range skills go to Yusuke at this point, because guess what? This guy has a shotgun technique. He has a spirit gun, the demon gun. Both of those at his disposal. The marks of the Muzoku come out to give him extra power. That shit rivals the darkness flame, believe it or not, by the end of the series. If not, even overcoming that shit, right? So Yusuke's, recoup also goes up because guess what? He has the rising blood to give him that extra oomph and give his health bars back up a little bit. He's fighting in human form against Hiei, and then the demon markings come out. And then it's a real fight and Hiei is on the back foot by that point. Hacks, like I said, that comes on, right? And then Yusuke is just known to come back from shit, twice in the series. Hiei still has the environment though, and this is why Demon World is where Hiei grew up. That's where he always wanted to go back to. He would be excited to fight Yusuke in Demon World, just the atmosphere and everything. Being there as a demon, he'd be psyched to fight against him. But even so, Yusuke wins. And this one's high diff, no extreme diff. It's high diff, and Yusuke wins. So in both scenarios, Yusuke wins. And then we've seen in the anime during season 3, he fought against, he fought against Yusuke. I'd say Yusuke won that fight. Now at the beginning of the series, Yusuke won that fight too, but there was a lot of other key, players there. Kurama was there, Botan and the Forlorn Hope being there. We know plot armor is a thing and shit, right? Had all that shit not been involved, Yusuke probably would have lost that first fight. I do believe that. But after that, after that first, everything in season 1, Yusuke was ahead of Hiei. Hiei was still like trying to like keep up with him and shit, but Yusuke is the main character and thing. But it's still a closer fight than him fighting any of his other friends. So be cool, go on the corner.